Angela's doing grounding, Sam's doing tequila because she knows in the hot seat. She knows she needs it. Cheers.
Cheers
to the conversation.
Cheers.
And 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Not Us Podcast, hosted by two sisters, myself, Angela, and that gorgeous creature over there, my sister, Samantha, where we talk about choice and change and we celebrate all those messy bits in between.
We're not doctors, therapists, gurus, or witches. The opinions and stories expressed in this episode are our own, for entertainment only, and subjected to change. Swearing is likely. And remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Hee-ha! We have our guest back for the second time. Welcome, Brett.
Yeah.
It's so good to have you with us again. And
It's so much fun. I had to come back. Eh?
I know. Well, for those of you who are listening, if you haven't watched our other episode with Brett, we do long, lengthy introductions there and discuss all of the amazing, incredible work. But of course, the highlight of his life is that he is related to the sisters. I mean, really, that is your key achievement in this lifetime.
Cousins for life, yo.
I think you could actually give Brett a more eloquent introduction, please.
Thank you. I mean, I am sitting here waiting to read off his bio. Brett is a best-selling author and award-winning filmmaker from Johannesburg, South Africa. He's known for writing novels and making films and TV that actually gets noticed and win awards. His first feature as a writer and director was Sync, which premiered at the Atlanta Film Festival and earned multiple SAFTA awards. His adaptation of the iconic South African novel Phyllis Kind also picked up a SAFTA for Best Film and Best Screenplay, and he branched out into mockumentary comedy with Darren's Gym. In 2025, Brett released 2 movies, Mayfok Maralis and Khaki Fever, and producing credits for The Heart is a Muscle, which is currently doing its rounds on the international circuit and was put forward as South Africa's nomination for the Oscars.
You nailed it. So it was our nation's submission for the Best Foreign Language Oscar. Didn't make the final cut, but it's such a privilege to be put forward, to be considered.
He also has refined the art of making people cry. Because I don't think I've watched anything of yours where I've either cried laughing or was actually full snot and tears, ugly crying, for example, in filler. Why is that? Why do you like to make people cry? Is it actually a twisted intention?
Well, you both know my mom. I've never seen her cry in my life. So maybe it is my goal that one day there will be a film that just pushes a tear out and then I'll know, okay, I'm accomplished as a filmmaker. Hasn't happened yet.
You've achieved your life goal of making your mom shed a tear. We asked Brett to come back because Brett is what Angela likes to call our family Yente.
Yes, it could be the family's Yente. I mean, I think we did tag him the Yente of Tinder when we were having the conversation. But if you don't know what that means, go and watch Fiddler on the Roof. The matchmaker's name is Yente. And so now he is, yes, he's our family Yente. That's
I'm not a Fiddler on the Roof.
Put all these details in the chat.
And today's episode is, and it's a conversation that I've had with Brett and Angela. And so this is almost like an intervention. But after a long-term relationship or an intense relationship, when's the right time to get back out there? My relationship's been over for a year. Am I ready? I don't know. But according to those 2 strangers over there, or those 2 strange-looking people over there, they have a different view. Well, what do you think?
I think it all comes down to how the relationship ended, how long you were together. I think for so many people, they may hear, oh, you're getting divorced or you're breaking up, and it's a shock to them. So often it can feel quite jarring when they see a person suddenly back on the scene dating. I think a year is a perfect time of respecting what has gone before and diving back in. But I think it always comes down to your own headspace. Have you dealt with your drama? Have you dealt or had moments to just reflect on what you came from? Had a moment of pause so that you don't go and make the same mistakes if there were mistakes involved. And just like prevent yourself from out of a place of fear, I think, jumping to the next thing, when actually the best thing for you could be a moment of time to yourself. But yeah, I think everyone will have an opinion on what's right, what's wrong. I mean, some people will stay in mourning if a partner's deceased, wearing black for a decade, and they never want to get back into the saddle. But I think if you want to, that should be your sign.
There's definitely a saddle or two that Sam would like to climb onto.
We're just feeding these to you.
We've been watching a lot of the cowboy series lately. All saddles welcome. I just think if we look at her history, my sister, she's been in a long-term relationship for a good long time now, but back in the day, her theory was the minute she is out of that relationship, she's like, there's only one way to get over them. But luckily, she's done.
To get under someone else.
That's right. If you want to get over them, get under. That used to be her motto. Fortunately, now she's been doing some growth work. And I agree, Brett, on a serious note, you are ready when you're ready. And that readiness is when you are ready to not make the same choices potentially, because our partners, whoever you draw is a fantastic emotional coach for whatever's going on in your life. So the question should really come back to you, sis. Do you feel ready? Do you feel like you've done enough healing?
Well, I just want to remind you of a couple of things. We discuss our own stories. We don't out other people's stories. So when I asked you that question, I didn't need you to tell everyone my dating history. Because I was going to say,
I live it with you.
I was going to say, in my 20s, I was ready the minute I closed the door on you. So it was really different. One, I don't know if I'm ready. I do know that I'm in a more healed space. So I've had time to process the relationship, identify like the beautiful things about the relationship, not be like looking at the relationship only through hurt eyes and anger and disappointment, because I think that's what you go through when a relationship ends. And a year ago, the end of our relationship wasn't on the dance cards. It definitely wasn't what I had thought was going to be my 2025, but it happened, and it's a year later. And we've spoken about this a couple of times on previous episodes about the gift of time and the gift of a new chapter and a new opportunity. What I appreciate about both of you, kind of like what Brett does, is he plants a seed. I think he's Virgo's sun. He plants a seed. Doesn't just say, shouldn't you be out there? Whereas I've had people say to me, oh, are you on the dating apps? And I was like, what the hell? I'm like, so not ready. I wouldn't do that. It's just like not me. But Angela kept herself on the shelf for 9 years. I don't see myself doing that. I don't have patience. I'm also a little older. Like, do I want to be 57? 57 and dating? No, thank you.
Also, okay. I mean, you gotta differentiate what you want, because dating doesn't always mean a relationship. And I think there's something really beautiful on going on dates, on meeting people, whether it ends in sex or a hookup or even just like a 3-month kind of, it's someone who's traveling and they're in the country you're in the same city for a while. I think we're so conditioned to think you go back to what a long-term relationship looks like. And we sit in a era and a space which is actually incredibly freeing in terms of what you can choose to engage with. Some people may never want to be in a relationship, but they're still going to have needs. They're still going to want companionship. You look at Whoopi Goldberg, she's like, I'm never sharing my living space with a man. She'll be in relationships. She's like, I don't want to live and share a home with someone anymore. And I think especially for women, there's such a special thing of having that freedom, which can be disorientating. It can leave you feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But that freedom actually is something that hasn't been afforded to many generations before, because security was always linked to being in a relationship with a man.
I love that, because in our previous dating episode, we looked at it very much from a dating with the intention of locking down, whether that is like your next chapter or because you want to have babies and do the white picket fence. And what we didn't really explore, sis, and I wonder if you agree with this, is we didn't explore how dating has changed and what the different avenues are. Even in relationships, your relationship can be very different from what we traditionally think a relationship is. And there are a lot of mature couples who don't cohabitate. They're in a committed relationship, but they don't live together. They have their own separate lives. So I love that point where you said dating can be fun and casual. It doesn't have to be with an end goal, and I'm paraphrasing, of locking someone down or getting into another relationship.
I think,
Yeah.
in fact, that is the magic in it, is that anytime you go into something, and because we're connecting with our reptilian brains before our mouths even open, and someone knows if you're coming in and you want to lock them down, it can be really scary unless they are absolutely on the same page as you, which is perhaps what dating apps can be useful for, because you're making it very clear upfront what you're there for. But other than that, it's actually, what if we were just going to have fun, keeping in mind it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Everyone we meet could be one of those three. So you can only explore that if you are just ready to have some fun. I kind of feel like you should treat it like auditioning, just having fun, seeing what the connection is. Could this be something? Could it not? But if you're going in right away with, this person needs to tick all of these boxes, my God, the pressure on that poor person before they've even had a moment of vulnerability. And they've got to fulfill all of your dreams, all of your unconscious bias, everything. Oh my God, then that's too exhausting. I couldn't be bothered to do that. In
I
fact,
love that you brought up auditioning, because you've auditioned for people. I sit as a director being auditioned to, and you can tell when an actor is broke and desperate for a role when they walk into the audition. There is a tightness that they hold on to, like what this means. Like, I need to get this so that I can get that job, that I can get my rent paid, versus someone who's coming in quite freely and just wants to play. And often they give the better audition, they get the job. And it's because they set themselves up to be curious, to play, and they didn't come in with a prescribed breakdown of what the outcome had to be.
yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking of when I mentioned it. The exact same neediness.
Yeah. So what I take away from that is, to answer the question, is start dating or auditioning before you feel ready, not when you're desperate.
Yeah, nice.
So when you don't feel ready, but you feel a little healed, maybe that's a good time to start putting yourself out there, because maybe you're not looking for anything. Maybe it's really just, hey, I want to know what it's like to sit opposite someone who's a total stranger and have conversation and practice those muscles. In actual fact, I said this in the previous episode as well, I've never dated. I've gone from situation to relationship to hookup and having fun. So I guess that's the thing that I have to kind of switch my mind around, is one, I'm not in my 20s any longer, which means nothing. It means that I come with different expectations and different wants, and hopefully not a guardedness. I would hope that I'm going into this not guarded. And dating has definitely changed in the last 20 odd years. I don't even know if there were dating apps then.
No.
That's the crazy thing, is like chatting to friends who are actually younger than me, who had been in a 10-year relationship, and they were like, what the fuck is going on with dating? Like, usually when there's technological advances, it's actually quite generational. So, and it will be like, your gran doesn't know how to use Facebook, and then you're teaching her that. Here it was like, over the course of a year or two, all of a sudden this was how people were meeting each other, and it became the main way people were meeting each other. There's actually a bit more of a swing happening now for people wanting in real life kind of connections, but I still think it is still quite a strong tool. But it was completely disorientating for so many people. I guess I was introduced to the apps as a single guy, so it was like an easing into that. Whereas I can imagine coming out of a relationship and suddenly it's like there is a whole new language and way of treating people, which didn't exist when you were last dating.
So what was your approach to dating? Because you also started in your late 20s.
Yeah. So at 30, I kind of had walked away from a celibate lifestyle, the purity culture thing, and all of a sudden, not only getting into adult dating, getting into gay dating, which so many straight counterparts would have had their experiences of dating in primary school, high school, where you learn all these things. And I had to like really come to terms with the fact that I might be a career professional in my 30s, but I'm a teenager right now, and having to learn, like, actually there's a language with how people engage with each other. Also dating a man versus trying to woo a woman is very different in terms
Mhm.
of just so many things. My husband's pan, so he's been able to enjoy both, and he even says there's like just such less of a gender norm dance that exists when dating the same sex. There's different power dynamics, intentions are presented differently, and not that it's necessarily better or worse. He just said that he found things were so much clearer in his engagements with other guys. But yeah, I came into dating basically the only way I knew how to integrate into queer communities and spaces was to jump onto dating apps. So that was my only experience of dating. Never actually, I'd had like the guy I had a crush on and like tried to see if something would happen there. But the thing I loved about dating apps is it was very clear who was attracted to men and who wasn't. There's a real benefit to that, so the clarity.
Mm. Tinder alone has over 1 billion swipes a day. It's a bit insane. It's not like it's just something that a small corner of society is relying on, or some people may say resorting to, but I don't think so anymore. I think it's a very clear choice for a lot of people.
I was quite judgmental, actually. I'm the eternal romantic, and I was like, no, I'm not going to meet someone through a fucking app. It's got to be like, we feel that chemistry as we walk past. Like, probably watch way too many romantic movies. Yeah. But I challenged myself, actually, where I was like, would I look down on a job that I got through an internet listing versus one where someone walked up to me and offered it to me? And I was like, no, I'm getting the job that I love. So why should meeting a person be any different? Yes, you can have the bump into each other and sparks fly kind of thing. But meeting my husband, we had zero crossover in our social interactions. He was in Pretoria, I was in Johannesburg, American, and our radiuses on Tinder were like, dip, they just touched because it's like a 50K radius. But usually Tinder will show you like who you have in common. And we had one person in common, and it was a guy who lived in Mozambique. So there was a real, just this thing was a tool that actually brought us together.
We'll get into dating apps, but I wanted to maybe just come back to you, sis, and just to the point that Brett had said, the dynamics between same-sex partners and opposite partners is a little different. And you are our resident expert because you have been married to a man and you have been married to a woman and you've dated both. What is your experience, and have you ever used dating apps yourself?
Let's just be really clear with me. Well, firstly, if any of you have ever seen Brett's husband, I'm mortified that I'm only finding out now for the first time that he's pan and that I didn't get to him before you did, Brett. Well, listen, when he brought his husband into the family circle for the first time, I think we nearly all fell off of our feet.
He is a swimsuit model.
God, he is beautiful.
He's got like a 12-pack.
The two of them together, it's just a thing of beauty and creative and talented. Anyway, I digress a little bit. Yes. So I'm very fortunate because my pendulum can swing in every direction. I think the only thing that I have found, or as I've tried to decipher it, is that it can just be a little bit more intense emotionally with women quite soon. And I have found with men, I want to say physically, they're a lot clearer, and emotionally, it took a little bit more time. So it was actually just more engaging on an emotional level. Having said that, though, the men that I've dated, some of them have been physically more tempered than some of the women that I've dated, because I'm attracted to a certain kind of person, and generally they, are a little bit hunterish. I'm not.
She's Bambi.
No. She's the hunter. They're the prey. She is the hunter.
I just want slightly. So yeah,
sledgehammer. Very subtle.
It's
like you. I want you.
How I lure you in is different. But yeah, I think that's the thing. And we did have a joke about this when we spoke last. What do lesbians bring on their second date? A U-Haul. So it's kind of very intense, very quick. and it's emotional. And so when I'd come out of my last marriage, I was kind of open to anything. And literally, when I say anything, I'm not joking. I was completely open to anything. But then I ended up with my partner now, who is male, but he is very, I suppose, feminine in a lot of his emotional. He really engages and connects. I got the best of both worlds. But, it just depends on the person. So we can still have these cliches around men are X, women are X. It's probably more or less, but actually it just depends on the person that you find.
Agreeing with that, and also just throwing in like social conditioning, like just going on a date now, straight dating, like who pays for the bill? Suddenly it becomes like this thing of like, if it was 20 years ago, it's an expectation that the guy pays for the bill, and then there's a pressure on the woman to put out. And what if she's like, no, I'm going to pay for the bill, and he feels emasculate? So I'd say the difference he actually found was the social conditioning as opposed to the individual. I know I've always, with my dating, especially if it was the early dates, it would be like we go half and half. That way there's no power dynamic. Maybe if I did invite you and wanted to be like, hey, this is a treat that I've organized, then you can get the drinks. But actually my mom would often tell my sister, like, don't let the guy pay for you, because there's going to be an expectation and put pressure on you that you may not necessarily want. Never have to owe someone something, but rather come in as two equals. Now, there's some people who really love the old school dynamic, and I often find it quite funny when I see these really independent women who have their great paychecks and everything, but then they're like, no, dude, you better pay for the bill. And there was actually a dating expert, I forget his name, but what he said is what you're basically setting up is to say that your time is more important than his. And actually, if it's playing in that space, you're almost creating a dynamic where he's paying for a service, and it doesn't necessarily fit into the spaces that I feel the three of us are occupying right now.
I mean, that's like,
mic drop.
That is the dilemma, is that there's so much expectation, there's so much psychology that we need to unpack within ourselves. For me, I'm an independent woman and quite strong. You feel my energy when I walk in. I'm not a flower by any chance, but I have never pursued in any relationship. And I don't know if it's because I feel a sense of insecurity, because it's one thing to like look confident, and it's another in terms of going, am I confident enough to be rejected?
Sure. Yeah.
But now sitting here as a single woman, I'm in a different country. I don't have a huge network. So what are the options? Well, the options are really, you might need to try dating apps, or you're going to have to put yourself in situations where you are expanding yourself. Both require you to be brave and vulnerable, and are probably going to require me to be a little bit more of a hunter. Well, not even a hunter, but more confident in terms of pursuing. And I've never pursued. Yes, that's a mic drop moment.
I like that.
But I think no matter what you're using, I haven't had to answer your other question. I've never been on a dating app. I'd like to say I've never required it, but that's not the way it is anymore these days. It's a choice. I quite like to use all my senses when I meet someone, like as in sight, smell, sound, touch, everything. That's my preference. But for all intents and purposes, my current partner and I met on a business meeting. We were living in completely different countries. We connected and got to know each other as friends, and it took us maybe a year before we ever met in person. So it's not unlike dating apps. And I'm thinking, in this world where people have been on Teams meetings or Zoom calls, and I wonder how many people may not have been on a dating app, but have used technology to expand their world. I think no matter whether you're using technology or not, if you're in a place where you know yourself well, you can be comfortable to be yourself and have strong boundaries, then you go in quite safely. If you don't, you're making yourself incredibly vulnerable, because now you've got more people available to throw you around, to toss you around that ocean.
I think that where you say like people think dating apps, people have been using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for the exact same thing. So it's not like that's exclusive from it. And even work kind of space, you meet people that way. I think what I liked from the online space was there was a buffer to rejection. So instead of going to buy that person a drink in a bar and to your face someone rejecting you, the rejection was just like they didn't swipe on you, so there's not a connection. So it actually takes the sting of rejection if you are wanting to step out away from it. It also enabled, because so many of them connect to your social media, I can see, does this person have a job? Are they like looking at their photos? Are they like engaging? What is their world? What is their passions? All those kind of things. If I'm meeting someone in a bar, it will take me a month to realize, oh gosh, I'm dating someone who exactly. And so it actually does bring some protective measures while it's maybe not engaging all your senses. That's why I've often said with dating apps or any kind of online thing, it's to try and move it to voice notes and to meeting as quickly as possible. Because often people's banter in text is very good and you get to meet them and the banter may not be there. They may be really good at typing, but just not engaging with you. So with my husband, from first swipe, it was about 2 weeks and we'd gone on our first date.
Okay.
Well, with that in mind, though, it's really important how you set up your profile, right?
Yes.
How do you edit it? How do you filter? How do you know you're not getting someone who's using a fake picture? So many questions, Yente. I'm feeling like
So many.
So are you ready to?
I love how Angela's actually just trying to get herself off the hot seat, because I said to her, you're not putting me in that hot seat alone. There are going to be questions directed at you. But Brett was very kind ahead of this episode to send me 4 potential dating apps. Tinder is not the only dating app. It's the most known one. Is for casual dating. It has high volume and it has about 75 million users. Moving up is Bumble, which is women first and empowering. This is for dating and friendship. So serious dating and those who prefer women to take the lead. Did you see my face? Hinge, designed to be deleted. So serious dating, people looking for relationships who want to avoid endless, pointless swiping. There are limitations, but there's that. And then there's the League. And the League is exclusive. It's for high achieving, career focused professionals. And you have to apply. There's an application process.
I submitted and got accepted. And it was just before meeting Nick. So you literally waited 3 months before they approved you. And they're looking like at your job. Are you someone who's operating at a certain level? I forget the name, but there's actually one in Hollywood, which is specifically for your high-end actors, directors of that, and it's even more exclusive because they just can't operate in the same space that we do just because of their privacy needs. But they would give you 10 people, and if you didn't vibe with any of them, you'd probably have to wait another 2 months before you connected with another. It's quite Yente-ish.
So if you're looking for love, Hinge is generally considered the top choice in 2026. If you're looking for quick dates or hookups, Tinder remains the lead. For intentionality, Bumble. And if you are a woman that wants to take the lead. And then for exclusivity, the League. But for today's episode, I have agreed with Brett and Angela that I will set up a Tinder account. Doesn't mean that I'm going live with this Tinder account, but we're going through the process. And so I've downloaded Tinder and I was going to start my profile. But then I saw the questions and I was like, okay, well, this is actually interesting.
Oh,
and the
nice.
reason why I found this interesting is because it asks you, what is your gender? And so I selected woman. And then it comes up with options. So are you a cis woman? Are you an intersex woman? Are you a trans woman? Are you trans feminine or not listed? I've heard of cis male, but I've never heard of cis woman. And then what is your sexual orientation? Now, this was interesting for me. Are you straight, exclusively attracted to members of the opposite gender, asexual, may not experience sexual attraction, bisexual, demisexual, a person who does not experience sexual attraction unless they form a strong emotional connection? Tell me which one you would select, sis. Gay, an umbrella term used to describe someone who's attracted to members of their gender. Lesbian, a woman who's emotionally, romantically, or sexually attracted to other women and non-binary people. Pansexual, a person who has potential for emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to people regardless of gender. Queer, questioning, or not listed.
And that's such beautiful filters, because you'll have the old school conservatives who are like, oh, there's two genders, like you.
Yeah.
And it's like, you've clearly never lived in the world or met anybody. But like listening and hearing the stories of my trans friends, just the rigmarole they go through, where especially if she's a trans woman and presents in a way that on a dating app, a cis straight guy has started engaging, taking on dates, there becomes this thing of like, when do I tell you? Are you aware? Do you actually know how to navigate dating a trans woman? Is this a fetish moment? This filter literally allows them to say what they're looking for and you to say what you're willing to accept, and just make sure that you're not wasting time on people who are actually going to be toxic for you.
Well, what's quite interesting for me is if you read up bisexual and pansexual. So bisexual is a person who has potential for emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to people of more than one gender. Whereas pansexual, a person who has potential for emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to people regardless of gender.
Yeah.
I've always said, well, I don't really identify as a lesbian. And back in the day, I would have said bisexual. But now looking at the terminology, do you go bisexual or do you go pansexual?
Bi kind of sits in the space of binary, one or the other. Often it doesn't leave inclusion for trans bodies or non-binary intersex bodies. So the pan umbrella is saying, I don't care what's going on with you. Like, if I connect with you, that's why I'm here. Whereas the bi thing generally tends to sway to quite a binary approach. So I'd say if you're wanting to connect or have the option of those who are in the middle of those two extremes or ends of the spectrum, then go with the pan option.
You're so wise, baby cousin. So wise.
Little blonde Buddha here.
Yoda,
Yente, Yin Yin. Okay, then the next screen is, who are you interested in seeing? Men, women, beyond binary, everyone.
you don't know what you don't know. So if you want to be open to all possibilities, remember that buffet table. Put them all out there. Have a look at everyone, and then you can choose.
You know, those who cannot play normally coach. Is what I'm going to say to that.
And I would say, like, if people find themselves questioning, and if you've watched Baby Reindeer, you'll see there's a great arc in that where this, by all accounts, straight guy starts dating trans women, and he's incredibly toxic and hurtful towards them.
Yeah.
And I think if you are going to make yourself available for the middle parts, it's to also come in with a sense of respect and grace, knowing that they have probably had to navigate just people who have constantly either been misinformed, fetishize them, or treat them like shits. And that becomes something that you can talk quite openly about, because if you're wanting to connect on a human level with someone, most of my trans friends wouldn't have an issue sharing their experiences.
I like that point, because I think, and we've discussed this, is that sometimes what you actually want is, you don't mind curiosity. It's the respect. Like, instead of sitting there trying to figure things out or asking like stupid questions, just ask a direct question. And the person on the receiving end, whether it's cancer or sexuality or whatever it is, often is really happy to have an informed, respectful conversation and take you on whatever journey of curiosity you might have.
I remember when I came out of my marriage to my husband, I was in the church at the time, and I hadn't actually actively engaged in any activity yet. I'd been in Asia. I had fallen for this wonderful woman, and I came back and I was questioning my sexuality. And I said, this is the space I'm in. And it was as though someone had opened the floodgates of, oh, okay, so you've gone astray a little bit. And the man started hitting on me. And I was like, wow, okay. But then also, when I used to work in some of the countries, I think it was in Taiwan or somewhere. I was very blonde at the time, platinum blonde. The only reference to blondes was porn. So I would treated very differently as a blonde than when I'd gone back as a brunette. It was like a different level of respect. So these are all the kinds of things that people have to negotiate. And I just want to say, just fuck it, be yourself.
I just want to say, when I've traveled to Asia, I've always been treated like a goddess.
Both of you felt seen. That's all we want in life, is to feel seen.
Right, don't you come and be diplomatic here. I wanted to just say maybe it was her energy. Maybe she gives that, that energy.
With porn star here. But I think that's what, like, even what we're doing here, dating apps almost had like, especially when it was like dating websites, it was this like shameful thing. And I think if you sit down with a bunch of friends and do what we're doing now, it becomes playful, it becomes fun. You've got friends to say like, oh no, that photo's terrible. Why would you ever lead with that? Or change the bio into this. This makes a stronger impression. Like, take shame away from it if you feel shame, and actually turn it into a fun evening with a bottle of wine and your friends. I even gave my Tinder to my mom, my account, and I said, yeah, for an hour, go swipe. Let's see what you come back with. And
wow.
I mean, I think gambling runs in our family. It was like at the slots here, but it was really fun to be like, like, she could imagine your mom swiped on the person you ended up with. That would be a really special story.
I think your mom would have swiped on Nick, actually.
There's no one in our family who would not have swiped on Nick if we went on that app.
Oh, I swiped so quickly. He had Tinder Premium, so you could see I swiped first. I was like, I'm gonna get this one.
So what we're taking from this is it's actually helpful if someone else sets your profile up for you or does it with you, because it's fun and you also get a more realistic view.
I thought that Yente was going to do this on my behalf, but he said no. Okay, then the distance preference.
Yes.
50 kilometers, it's set at 80 and you can go up to 160 kilometers.
How far would you travel for love or lust? In Cape Town, people will not go further than 5 kilometers. If you're in the City Bowl, they are not coming to see points.
I'm going to say something controversial and I'm waiting for Brett to respond in an honest way. Brett, I don't go anywhere. I expect people to come to me. Did you not get that?
Well, there you go. But I mean, because Nick was Pretoria, I was Joburg, which is why we moved in together at Lesbian Speed, because I was like, I'm not doing that highway, and neither is he. It's an hour each way.
What are you looking for? Long-term partner, long-term but short-term okay, short-term but long-term okay, short-term fun, new friends, still figuring it out.
I'd go short-term but long-term okay, because that's like...
Yeah.
Can I not
Leave
just
the
go
door open.
figuring it out? Looking at Yente, it looks like he's about to explode. Say your words, Brett.
I would say, because still figuring out reminds me of, like, on Grindr, people will say what they're looking for, and one of the options is networking, and we're like, there's not a chance someone is networking on this app. No.
Well, if they work in the film industry.
Yeah, this is true. But I would tick a couple of those. Like, if you only want long term, then I'd stick with that. But if you're open to either, tick both of those options, because in essence, it's creating a filter which they will be using to filter you out as well.
So you can only select one.
Short term.
So I would say short term with long. Yeah, what Angela said.
Because they still have to be vetted by me.
And
Brett, like the whole family vets them first. So we go and short term first.
I have no issue with Angela vetting them, because she would feed me to the dogs. She would just like push me out.
He's just got out of prison. He sounds really like he'll be into you.
I love tattoos.
He's worked through his life. He's done his turn. She has a lot of tattoos. We're on.
And as for her boyfriend, Nathan, well, I don't know how anyone will get through him, actually. So new friends, still figuring out short-term fun, short-term but long-term.
That one.
That one.
Because you're going to weed out the guys and girls who are just there for hookups, which if you're not wanting that, this kind of puts you in the Goldilocks zone.
Oh, enter school name. Oh, goodness, why would there even be a school on this?
So if you went to the same school, there's a connection point to be like, oh, you were in matric when I was in grade 6. Always had a crush on you.
That's Angela, Cougar Town.
You know what? As an adopted person, the chances were that I could actually hook up with one of my siblings. So, you know,
Totally. 23andMe test included.
So she wanted to make sure that the odds were good. She went for both men and women.
that's right.
We've never hooked up, just to be very clear.
No,
Just to be very
no
clear.
matter how
But
much
if you were if you were to select like a university, you also seen that someone's got an education that's tertiary, if that's important to you. Like these are like moments where you can be like, do you want someone who's a professional? These are like the ways that you can actually filter out what's important to you.
Okay. And then we are onto lifestyle. So how often do you drink? How often do you smoke? Do you exercise? And do you have any pets? Brett said the photo that you should always be leading with is you with an animal.
Never. Never. So I had a list, and we'll probably unpack it when we get to photos, but there were like a list of things where if this was in the photos, it was an absolute no-go for me. And the fit one was if they lead with a photo of them with their animal. Different if it's like number 3 or number 5 of their photos, but if that photo is up front with Fluffy right by the neck, just know that you are entering a throuple and you will always be secondary to whatever animal is hovering in the corner there.
I want to say if they put their animal on, it's like politicians who hold babies. I'm like,
Yes.
why are you trying to show me that you are this nice? Put that dog away and let me see who you really are. And we are animal people with us on this call.
Another thing which is a no-go for me is if someone is using a group shot of people, I'm like, on principle, I'm swiping no, because guaranteed you're the ugliest person in that group. So I'm still going to check to see who's like the individual to just confirm, but do not lead with a group shot. Or with a child. Don't bring some nephew or niece into the picture with you. Like, this is not the space for showing your connections to those things.
So how often do I drink? I said on special occasions.
Every time
Oh,
we record an episode of us.
What is sober curious?
I've never heard that before.
Maybe
Wow.
that's when you could be with someone who doesn't drink. Like you're open to being with someone who's sober.
Yes, that's true.
Well, the options here is not for me. Sober curious, on special occasions, socially at the weekend and most nights. I'm not interested in anyone who drinks most nights.
Such great filters, because someone who it is important to have a drink, or if they're a smoker, and like you could have a great connection in the club and all of a sudden you see them smoking outside and you're like, oh damn.
I don't care if you smoke.
Some people it's a deal breaker.
A no-go for a lot of people, yeah.
Okay, I'm a non-smoker. How often do you exercise? I put often, not every day. There's often, every day, sometimes never. And do you have pets? Dog, cat, reptile, bird, fish. Don't have, but love. Other
If you have a
turtle.
reptile left.
Pet free. I think I'm going to select pet free. Okay. I mean, what I should say is I'm petrified of cats.
But maybe that sounds like you don't have pets at all, and it's just because your pets have passed. So you don't have them, but you love them.
That's right. I love dogs. I don't love cats.
You should tell them, because like if it comes to between choosing you and a cat, it's like,
please choose the cat. Please choose the cat. Have a happy life. I'll move on.
Because you got to share that bed, and you know Ginger is not leaving.
There's more than one pussy in her bed.
Okay. What else makes you you? What's your communication style? Big time texter, big time texter, phone caller, video chatter, bad texter, and better in person.
These are great.
Is it multiple choice? Can you choose more than one?
Only one. I'm a texter.
You're a good texter.
I'm someone who texts, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you receive love? Thoughtful gestures, presence, touch, compliments, time together. Well, that's the 5 love languages.
I'm through
All
love
of
language.
those, time together would be number 1.
So I'm going to have to say not compliments. It's between time together and thoughtful gestures, but
it is both of those, but I'd say time together more than anything, because that is a thoughtful gesture for you.
What is your education level? Bachelor degree at uni, high school, PhD, on a graduate program, master's degree, and trade school? Well, I've got a bachelor's.
So they have the category thinks she knows everything.
Well, thinks she knows everything. No, they don't. I suppose that could be like a master, a PhD.
Masters in everything.
And then what is your star sign? Well, I mean, should I be specific here? They don't give you much. I could say Leo sun, Virgo moon, Taurus rising.
Just go with
The more
Leo.
specific you can be, because when you
Venus,
put that out there,
Cancer. Yeah. Well, it only gives
when
you
you
one.
put that out there, it's someone who that kind of information is important to is going to be like, oh no, they're not just like a magazine horoscope person. They actually care about this kind of stuff. Likewise, if you're a Christian and you put forward like, you know, the Bible verse that's meaningful to you, like you're connecting, you're giving them touch points to be like, oh, okay, this is what's important.
Okay, so what are you into? There's a lot. Under creativity is tattoos. I can put that there. I'm into tattoos.
It's the deal breaker for some people if someone has tattoos. Yeah.
Shame. Poor you. I feel
It
sorry
means you're
for
not
you.
going to swipe with them then, which is great.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to see that tramp stamp and suddenly be like, oh, I don't know.
Under fan favorites, they've got Comic Con, Harry Potter, 90s Kid, NBA, MLB, Dungeons and Dragon, manga, Marvel, and
your
Disney.
No, you're
Fucking
not
love
part of
that.
Not your vibe.
Food and drink. I'm a foodie. Absolutely. Sweet treats. Absolutely. Cocktails. Yes. You know, if when I drink occasionally. Barbecue.
Yes, or breakfast.
If it's a South African, Argentinian, or American barbecue, I'm into it.
Yes.
Gaming, absolutely not. Escape rooms,
Ooh.
bars.
Oh, well, I mean, what's in this room and what are we escaping?
What kind of escape room is it?
Oh.
Musical theater, shopping, karaoke. Oh, I love karaoke. Nightlife, town festivals, absolutely not. Concerts. Okay, well, just going out, I've selected 10.
There you go. And these are great touch points to be how you connect with someone.
Right. So now there is space for 6 photographs. And I've sent 10 pictures to Angela and Brett.
Kept my eyes peeled.
Ooh. There's a lot here with your sister. I say lead with those. Me and the dogs.
So
Really?
David, my brother David was swiping in Johannesburg, and 2 or 3 of the girls he was chatting to were like, oh, your brother Brett, he's in film. And he was like, come on, I want to talk about me, not about Brett. So if you want them falling for Angela, put her in the front.
They're only human.
Why would they fall for Angela? Why would they not fall for me? Why would they not think it's a 2-for-1 deal?
That's all it is. Practically.
Okay,
I love this one.
you need to describe it.
Okay, there's
Can
one.
show it, I'll put it to the camera.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brett, you do
This
that.
is my favorite for leading.
Full picture.
That's
It's a
it.
picture of you looking just chilled, friendly, soft face. You're in front of a painting. Your hair looks pretty. It looks like you. And you also
Yes.
have like an open expression. I think the one above is a bit more like reserved, like, what do you want from
Yes.
it? The one above that is you leaning forward. It's a little more eager. We've said no friends pictures, so that one rules out whoever you're next to with their tongue out looking like they're having a party.
Not for the first one. So she could definitely have the friends one for the second one because it shows she has friends, which is good.
Just good. There's lots with your sister, which you can use for all your others.
There's 2 with my sister.
There's one of us in the gym. Anyway, this is
Yeah,
not
that's
about-
because I needed to show them that I gym.
That's
I need to go to gym.
Okay, so we're going with that one in front of the painting.
Then
We
I
both
would
do-
use the red one next. That's really cool.
Party
It
one.
shows your fun. Yeah. The red
Okay,
party.
On YouTube. If you're not,
Do you-
go to
do you-
YouTube and you'll see it there.
What's great with that is also if someone recognizes a friend in there, they'll be like, text on the side and be like, hey, is the Samantha chick crazy? What's going on? You know, for them, it also becomes a nice little sign up.
Well, do you think, though, that you need to get your friends' permission to post pictures of them on your Tinder?
I guess if you would be comfortable posting that on Facebook, you would usually ask people for permission. Can I post this on like Instagram or Facebook? And if they're fine with that, they tend to be okay with it. But you should know your friends and what their
Taking it off
preference
their
is.
profile.
What should the other like 4 pictures be?
One of you with your sister walking the dogs.
That was the next one. So what's nice is that's a full body picture. People get to see, okay, you might have this beautiful face, but we don't know what's going on, and can be quite misleading if there's only like from the chin up images, and you're at least saying
Yeah.
this is what you're getting.
This is me. And also they can see the family genes in case they are procreating with you, so they can, see what your siblings look like.
Uh-huh. Right. Angela just wants to be on Tinder, actually, is what this is actually about. Let's put
Awakening.
things very straight.
So those are our top 3.
Yeah. I even think this is a really good one. That's quite pretty for number 4. So I would avoid sunglasses just because the eyes are what connect with people. What we have to like compliment her on is she didn't choose a photo that's 10 years old, because that's what a lot of people do. And I've been on dates where you rock up and it's like, ooh, the lamb is actually mutton. And and it's not that being mutton is bad, but don't tell people you're lamb. And then you get hurt when you rock up and they're like, you're not who you say you are. I'd say 6 months, kind of 6 months to a year window is healthy. And you also know if you've gone through like weight or body changes that are going to be extreme, and it's ultimately to protect your own heart.
There's space for 2 more. So what would you recommend that those 2 should be?
I think the photos that show your soul in the best of ways. If your energy is light and fun, it's almost like show the least posed ones that you can have, the more candid ones, showing the kind of energy you want to bring. That's the sweet spot.
You're part of that paddle cult. Like you could always put paddle on there.
It will either pull people in or be like, nah, I don't want to be with a paddle person. And that's awesome. It's connecting the dots.
Okay. The next one is share more about yourself. Introduce yourself to make a strong impression, and then answer a prompt to show off your personality.
Wow. I think with bios, like I've seen some which are incredibly defensive, like people saying like, don't talk to me if you're not here to meet properly because they've had like bad experiences. I'm like, oh, okay, well, there we go. You're already bringing a very negative energy into the space. Others keep it quite ambiguous. Well, actually, they're quite ashamed of being on the app. So they'll be like, you know what? Never thought I'd be here, but here I am. I guess let's see how this thing is. And it's like, you're shitting on the thing that could potentially connect you to someone. What I loved to do was I actually took very niche references of book titles, neighborhoods, food types, films. Literally, I would list Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Dochi, Istanbul, and like knowing that these obscure things would actually create a reaction in someone who knew what that was. And if they knew what it was, then it meant, oh, we're playing in the same WhatsApp group.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
It becomes less prosy. It just becomes like these one word things. So for you, it could be paddle, raves, Dungeons and Dragons.
Bondage.
Yeah.
Dress up. Clearly, Angela.
That one.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Or be more biographical, where it is like South African girl living in Netherlands, freshly out of a relationship and really interested to see what the next steps hold. And that in itself gives a light tone, gives information about you.
Looking for a daddy or a mummy.
Hey, mommy.
Jesus. Okay. So then the next step is, are you from around here? Set your location to see who's in your neighborhood or beyond.
That's good. So it sets your geographic location, because what you can do, and I used to do it when I was traveling and not necessarily looking for relationships. If I knew I was going to be in New York in a month's time, I'd prep the ground now. So I'd be like, start swiping in a 50K radius in that city and be like, hey, I'm going to be in town. I would love to meet up with locals. And yeah, it was actually a really cool way to literally, as you hit the ground, start meeting people.
I have a technical question. What is swipe right or swipe left? Like if you are interested, which one are you swiping?
Right is if you want to connect, left is if you don't want to connect. And never hit super like. I don't even know if they still have that option, but often super like makes you seem like you are so desperate to meet this person. I've seen bios where people say if it's a super like, it's by mistake. So don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay, well, that was the experience.
That was really cool. It's cool to talk through all of those, because it really does help you to think about it helps you define what it is that you actually like or don't like.
And it felt like a
Yes.
game. Like we
Mm.
get to know more of her. She gets to hear how we perceive her. It's fun. What we must totally do is you should choose your top 10 swipes, and then we get to see and assess their profiles. We won't show people. We can describe for privacy, but then you can see how people pitch themselves towards you.
I have a couple of friends who are really excited about this particular topic because they themselves have not used dating apps. So I think I will hand my phone over to people for a little while and see what they come up with. But
Yeah.
what I was going to say, Ange, is that you had said your wonderful therapist had written a book on Tinder and dating apps. Do you want to maybe touch on that?
Yeah, well, I think in counseling so many people in her practice, and so many people are there for relationships, whether they're breaking up, making up, trying to heal, scared. She had actually gone on to Tinder herself to see what the experience was like, and tried various profiles, did the whole thing, dated a bunch of people, and wrote a book about it, and the dangers of it, and the benefits of it. Again, we're talking about Tinder right now, but any kind of online activity, any way that you're engaging with someone digitally or connecting with someone. Imagine if we went into the world as we're putting ourselves out there, even if you weren't on digital, just using the questions that you've just been asked on the Tinder app, and you had to just apply that to yourself before you even go on a blind date or any kind of date, or just knowing yourself a little bit better. And I think what another benefit that apps like Tinder, etc., give you is that it also shows you people how they're putting themselves out there. It kind of makes you better at choosing. You can sort of get a taste for it, a little bit more selective in the world.
What would you say, Brett?
I think, all disclaimers on online safety. Like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Probably watch Tinder Swindler to see how bad something can be. I know a lot of people have watched that, and then it like scares them off completely. I say just know what those kind of environments can be, and treat it as dating is something that takes practice. Don't go into it thinking that you're gonna hook Prince or Princess Charming on the first thing, because suddenly you are carrying then all this weight and pressure to perform and be chosen. A nice thing is also being like, what do I want to choose? Not, is someone choosing me? Because so much dating is about, how do I present so that someone will pick me? What if you flip the script and was like, well, what do they need to do for me to pick them? And that just changes how you engage. It gives you security. You approach it with just a much more stable foundation.
I think what I get to take away from this episode is, one, when do you start? Start before you feel ready, not when you're desperate. Two, it's a great way of healing and figuring out what you want. And of course, with these, you have the gift of choice. You can choose. Even if someone, likes you, you don't have to do anything with that. You can delete your profile at any time. But it does give you an opportunity to market yourself, and then to go through the exercise of dating. Because if you haven't been dating for a long time, or even if you've been in an intense relationship, you do change as a person. And so what you may have wanted 2 or 3 years ago or 20 years ago is very different to what you might want today. And then have fun with it.
Use it as a way to fall in love with yourself. Like, when you look at these pictures and how you'd like to be like, wow, I'm a catch the way I've presented what I've done in my life, and seen these photos of me in different spaces. Like, it's a great way to encapsulate your essence if you're able to be that kind of objective about it.
Yeah. And choose the right app. So if Tinder is not for you, there are different apps. Have a look at Bumble if you're more interested in relationship or female empowerment, Hinge or The League, and have a look online. It doesn't only have to be one. Play, get in, get stuck. If it's not for you, then find other avenues of figuring out how you're going to meet people, whether that's for friendship, short-term, long-term, just for fun, whatever it might be.
And remember, we need to break those childhood lessons that you're going to kiss one frog and it's going to turn into your prince or princess charming. Not. It might be. It's for very, very few rare people that might happen, but otherwise just go out and kiss yourself some frogs.
The kissing, that's fun.
It's a great conversation, and thank you very much for guiding us through this.
Huge pleasure. As always, the trick is getting us to shut up. Yeah?
Thank you for listening. If you have comments, suggestions, or feedback, please email us on notuspod@gmail.com. Like us on our socials, which is Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. That's notus_podcast. And you can listen to us or watch us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Until we speak again, bye.
And if you see Sammy on Tinder, swipe right.